really sick, so I was not in the right frame of mind to be doing videos, and I didn't want to shortchange you guys. So I had to wait till I got better. So I am sincerely sorry. Either way, I hope this video still resonates with you, that it is still relevant. When I was shuffling out the spread, I saw two images for you. And by the way, I am using the this is the tarot song, or I'm sorry, the Spirit Song Tarot, and this is by one of my favorite artists, Paulina Cassidy. And this was a gift that I got from my sister, who is also a Virgo, so I hope she's watching this. It's a wonderful deck. There are a lot of messages that comes through. Not so much, you know, images, but like a lot of messages. And I find it very easy to read with this spread. And so I might be using it again next month. I hope you enjoy it. So first of all, the first image that I saw was, I see this cliff. It's midnight. The moon is out, and the moon is this giant, round, full moon in the distance, okay? It's so big. It's hovering over the horizon, but it's humongous. And on this cliff is a wolf, okay? And he has like white fur, and he's howling to this full moon, okay? So that's the first thing. The second image that I saw was at a train platform. There are two tracks. In the middle is like a conductor's booth or a ticket booth where people come and get their train tickets. And on either side are two train tracks. One is for outbound trains. One is for incoming trains, okay? And so there's a train already stationed at the outbound area. So this is for like departure. And there are passengers on the train holding and waving their handkerchief. And there are people on the platform kind of like saying their tearful goodbyes to the passengers on the train. And then the train takes off. And immediately, like clockwork, there's another train that's incoming, that's arriving. And so I'm seeing a series of train departing, and then like clockwork, another train arrives. And the image, you know, just remain that way. One train leaves and another train arrives. It's also like, it feels to me like it's synchronized in such a way where something has to leave so that new things can arrive. Okay, and the new things can arrive until something leaves. So that's what it feels like. It's very cyclical. It's very synchronized. It's almost like preordained, designed. And it seems as if, you know, things are very much like clockwork, which is something you might appreciate because you guys are very punctual and you guys are very efficient with your timing, okay? And you like things to be neat and to be predictable and to be, you know, synchronized, okay? So going back to the first message, here's what I'm sensing. And this is something that I've noticed with a lot of Virgos. You guys behave very much like a Capricorn, okay? Capricorns are known as like the lone wolf, okay? They're the lone wolf in the zodiac. And they're very stoic. They're very self-contained. And when they make decisions, they don't really, you know, crowdsource, okay? They're not going to ask their mom, their aunt, their uncles, whether or not they're making a decision. So the way in which they go about life, they're just very much self-contained, self-reliant, and resourceful, and you know, they make decisions without a lot of fanfare, without letting people know what they're up to. So in a way, people think they're secretive or stoic, but I feel like that's just the way that the Capricorn operate. And I also feel like for you guys, you go about your life, you make decisions, and you're very conscientious about the decisions that you make, because Virgos are deeply responsible. You're very responsible to yourself and to other people, in that you don't want to hurt other people. You don't want to do things, malicious things, to dig at people, to take cheap shots at people, to hurt other people. Like, you guys are not for that. And I feel like the only time you consider other people in your decision-making process is you don't want to make any decisions to, you know, in case it might hurt the other people, it might I guess, inconvenience them in some way. So that's the only time where you're conscientious, and that's the only time when you kind of crowdsource and you ask somebody, is this okay for me to do this? Okay. But overall, when you make decisions, you're very stoic and you go about it your own way. And it's done without a lot of fanfare. It's done without a lot of like, without having to kick up a dust storm around it. Okay. And so, in a way, that lone wolf prediction, or the depiction, actually, not prediction, the depiction is a lot about you. It's a lot about you listening to that inner calling, okay? Howling to the moon, staying true, especially to that inner voice in your head. And I also feel like, being accountable for yourself, your actions, the things that you do, and going about things, bearing the burden of responsibilities on your own, not losing your footing, being able to, exist and climb on this pedestal, on this cliff on your own, and not needing other people, right? So that's what I'm feeling. And so I feel as if there's something that is really nagging at you, okay? This is like an intuitive message, or even like a psychic nudge that is really nagging at you because of that wolf howling to the moon. It screams out to me a sense of immense longing for something, wanting to call it into being, wanting to manifest it, wanting to create it, wanting to I guess, like, verbalizing what it is that you're calling for, right? So then it comes into the picture. And what I have here is the shaman. And this is about divine wisdom, spiritual power. This is looking at things from a bird's eye view with a higher vantage point, so that you can see how all the parts fit together to form a whole. Seeing how things are very interrelated and interconnected, so that one decision made will have ripple effects to create, I guess, like a disturbance, or even to affect something that is further afield. And so I feel like you come into this holistic understanding about actions and consequences, about how every decision is not made in a vacuum. Something that we do, a few years ago in this part of the world could have long-reaching consequences in another part of the world in the present time. So it's almost like being spiritually mindful about the energies that we send out into the universe, so that we don't affect things in a negative way. Being responsible and being resourceful, and understanding that, energies, resources are very finite. And so we don't take more than we need. We don't deprive other people of limited resources if we're just, scrambling for resources to hoard and to hog. Okay, so I feel like you're coming into this really enlightened state of being, where you're starting to understand cause and effect, actions and consequences. And it's not just, whatever exists in your linear time. I feel like you're trying to understand how actions and consequences can reverberate through time. And when I'm looking at this, I also feel like, this sense of immense wisdom that is coming into your life. I feel almost like there is a situation that you're longing for, you might be clinging to, you might be thinking about the next step, you might be contemplating what is going to be made available to you, what is coming through. And I can assure you, the last two cards are about outcomes, are about, we start the beginning of the month here, and eventually we want to end here. And so where you are right now and where you want to be, we want to look at all the energies that are kind of like affecting, hindering, or helping your progress to get you where you need to be, okay? And so what I have here is the 10 of acorns. This is the 10 of wands. And then I have the star. And the star card signifies, it's wish fulfillment, okay? It's being able to achieve whatever it is that we desire. And when it's paired up with this 10 of acorns, 10 of wands, the acorn energies, the wands in this deck, it's about unburdening ourselves, letting go of physical belongings, letting go of expectations, letting go of things that are really bogging us down, making us very heavy. Resentment sometimes, resentment, clinging on to relationships, clinging on to a way of life, clinging on to possessions, clinging on to, people that we feel very emotionally connected to, even though they might no longer serve a purpose in our lives. So I feel like there's an unburdening process that is happening here. It's associated with the star. So it's kind of like a reminder. You need to unburden. You need to kind of let it go so that you can move on, so that you can travel light, so that you can feel free to be able to attract and to manifest, to have new energies come in, to manifest new things, and to draw new things to come into the picture. It's like that platform, right? It's synchronized, and it's perfectly designed and engineered, where one train leaves and the other train arrives. Okay, so I feel as if there's a message here for you guys. Is there something that you're holding on to very dearly and very tightly, and in the process of not allowing yourself to release it, it's preventing things from coming in for you? Okay, so I want you to sit with that just for a moment. I'm drawn to that image where I mentioned, with the train departing. There are people on the platform, they're saying goodbye to the people that they love. They're saying goodbye, okay? Somebody, the passengers on that train, they're heading towards their new life. They're heading towards like a new way of living. They're heading far away. And the people on the platform are like unable to let go because of that emotional connection. They're unable to like let that go. And the train is the catalyst for severing that connection, but also allowing something to take place, allowing something to move forward and progress so that new things can come in. So I feel like, Virgos, is there something in your life that is an emotional attachment of yours and is no longer serving you in this present moment? And for many of you, we have here the Two of Cups. This is a potential relationship, okay? A partnership even. And this is a really, it's like a very exalted connection, because with the Cups energy, it's spiritual and emotional in nature. It's mutual support, it's love, and it's friendship built on mutual respect. And what I feel is happening here is, for many of you, you started out as the lone wolf, right? And life can feel very, very lonely, right? You're naturally, you guys are a very shy sign. Like typically, you don't want to be the center of attention. You're not like the wisecracking, the busybody, the one that needs to be in the limelight. That's not you. And I feel like, you go through your life as this lone wolf, and you've transformed. You've met like a group of people that you are really emotionally tied to. It could be a work environment. It could be someone who's very dependent on you. It could be like a mutual situation where it's not toxic or unhealthy, but it's sort of like a really strong emotional connection. And you're unable to change your way of life, to, move out of your location, to get a new job, to get a promotion, to progress, to want more. It's something that could potentially take up a lot of your time and energy and resources. And it's disallowing you from having that finite resource to devote to yourself. And so we are seeing this shedding of the lone wolf energy, because you're in a partnership or you're in a situation that is demanding a lot more of your time, and you're preoccupied with it. You go to work, and that's the first thing you experience in the day. You go to sleep at night, and that's the last thing you think about. So I feel like it is really energetically pulling you. And I also feel like it's there's a lot of warmth. There's a lot of, you know, um, I feel like it's a really good connection. But then I also feel like it's preventing more things from coming in for you. Okay, it doesn't mean that this is somebody that's consciously making a decision to block your blessings. I don't feel that it's that way, but I feel energetically it's a little bit of a burden on an energetic level, because energy is very finite. You know, it's not unlimited, right? We can only devote certain amount of energies to certain things, and we can devote a certain amount of thoughts to certain things. And so you want to be focused with your goals, your plans, your actions as an individual, so that you can, you know, bring things closer to you that you really want. So I feel like there's something here about how being as a unit, as a couple, as a unit, as a partner in a partnership, it brings about a lot of blessings. But I feel like something has also run its course, where the obvious decision is to kind of walk away from it. Okay, and I feel that I'm seeing a like a female wolf. Okay, she might be pregnant, and or she might have given birth, because I'm seeing like the young ones in a cave. Okay, in the crevice of a tree in a cave, and then she's outside scouting and looking for food. So I feel as if somebody is going out scouting, somebody is venturing out into the world. They're exiting a place of safety. They're going out into the world to go scouting, to scope out the environment, to see what life has to offer, to see what else is available. And then I'm feeling somebody is like drawing them back in, like, no, don't do that. Don't leave me. Don't go there. Don't, you know. So I'm getting here, somebody is afraid that you're going to leave. Somebody is afraid. And I feel like the energies, of course, can be switched. Because on the flip side of being the lone wolf is, you know, being very connected. You might have an emotional connection to somebody, and you're afraid that they're venturing out and not coming back. You're afraid that troubles and dangers will befall them. You're afraid that they might be, I want to say, like, lured away from the cave, lured away from their path back to you. So I feel like there's a situation here where somebody is thriving better with independence, and the other person is disallowing that independence. Okay, so it's like, you know, when somebody's old enough, they need to fly the nest. And if you're in a position where you can guide them so that you can steer them away from danger, you want to do that rather than holding them back, rather than not letting them develop to their full potential. So I definitely feel like there's a situation here. It's done out of love. It's done out of that sense of safety and protection. But it can feel a little bit like we're overreaching or overstepping our boundaries, or we're not really doing the other person a favor, because they need to venture out and kind of like experience life on their own. So I want you to look at this combination, okay? This is like, I gotta go out, I gotta find food, I have to go scope out the territory. I have to figure out, you know, where the food source is. So it's kind of like an anteater. And this is an armadillo reaching out his hand, almost like, no, don't go. His or her hand. No, don't go. Don't leave me here. I'm kind of stuck here. This is thorny. I don't want to be here. And, you know, it's like, if you're going to go, please come back. Okay, so I feel like it's a tearjerker. It's like the tearful goodbyes. But with the train, you know, one train is departing, the other one is arriving. Everything is very cyclical. It's going to come full circle, right? So that basically means that they're going to go off and do their own thing. And then one day, they're going to come back around. So they have to leave first for them to return. And so I feel like this is really telling you to allow things and situations to change, to understand that, you know, we have to let something go. If we love something, we have to let it go. We have to let the other person go to find their own life's calling. And if destiny takes them back to us, then it's meant to be, right? So it's like loving with an open hand, okay? Not a closed fist, but like an open hand, so that we can allow the best opportunities to come in for ourselves and for the other person, so that we both can grow. Otherwise, it gets very stifled and claustrophobic, and just, you know, it could potentially turn very toxic. Okay. I feel for many of you, you might be dealing with somebody who might have had their fair share of abandonment issues. Okay, so like, I feel that you have pretty much been like an anchor in their life. You're like the pillar of stability. You're the anchor. You're the person that they have always depended on. And when you say you're going to go, I'm going to be gone, you tell them exactly, I'm going to be gone half an hour, I'll come back. And sure enough, half an hour later, you always come back. So you're kind of like that pillar of strength and stability in their life. You're the one thing that is very predictable in their life. And I also feel like for some of you, it's like clockwork. They're so used to having you around, and I feel like they might have taken it for granted. They might have not seen the value in you properly. They might have I'm also hearing like downplay your importance in their life. Everything that they've achieved in life, I feel like, you know, they might have credited themselves rather than credited you. Okay, and so what I sense is, if you're exiting the picture, now they're just like coming to this realization, this awareness that, don't go, I can't do this on my own. I can't be here on my own. And I feel that you've grown bigger, too big for the cave, too big for that little crevice in the tree where the two of you have been holding up, or where they have been holding up. They're trying to get you back in. And it's like, no, I don't live in a tree. You know, I'm made to live in a mansion. I'm made to live in a place that is warm, that is lit. I can't live in a dark, dank environment and thrive. And so, you know, I feel like for many of you, turning your back on a toxic person, turning your back on a person who has abandonment issues and who is taking it out on you, as well as, you know, throwing temper tantrums in order to get their way as well, okay? And that's for a very small minority of you, because I do feel like there is a connection here that is very exalted. Two people are better off like working together, but for whatever reason, I feel like you have outgrown this connection and you're well prepared. Knight of Swords. You're well prepared to take what you have learned and apply it into your world, charting your own path and creating your own vision. And you might have no need for this connection anymore. And not to sound like somebody who is, you know, a user or anything like that, but I just feel like, you know, that's the way things are meant to play out in this connection. Another thing, so this is pretty much another thing that I was getting messages on is this. Okay, going back to the wolf howling at the moon. I feel like for Virgo people, okay, and I'm sensing like the way that it's playing out in this spread. We have the world here, and this is like, the world is your oyster. There are so many possibilities, okay, and you're the whale here. You're capable of moving into deep waters. You're capable of seeing all the things, all the sea creatures that are lying beneath, okay? Whales also come back for air, and they blow water out of their, you know, the spout, or I guess the blowhole. And they surface for air. And every time they surface for air, they do that splash that is really, it's an amazing sight. right? So I feel like you are capable of surviving on the surface as well as underwater. And what I mean by this is I feel like there's somebody who only exists in one realm. They have trouble connecting, they have trouble relating, they have a lot of trouble sympathizing, understanding, and seeing the whole picture. But I feel like you are a creature of both world where you're able to make sense of things. You're able to see the big picture, like I mentioned before. And so life for you is a series of exploration. Okay, Virgo is still it's still a fairly young air. I'm sorry, Earth sign. It's still a fairly young Earth sign, and so it's asking you to embody this playful energy in the spirit of newness, in the spirit of exploration. For many of you, it can seem very scary, right? It can seem really scary to dive deep into deep waters where you might not be able to breathe, where you might not be able to see, where there could be, you know, dangers that you can't really foresee and escape from. However, you're the whale, you're big, okay? And so little critters are not going to mess with you pretty much. And so I feel like your persona is really big. Your capabilities are very big. And that means in any situation that you find yourself in, you're going to be able to get out of it intact. And in every work environment, let's just use that as an analogy because I feel like you can understand me better. In every work environment, no matter what tasks your superiors give you, you learn it, you do it well, and then soon you become an expert, right? And so you might have gone in, you know, at the very beginning, feeling very afraid, apprehensive. Am I good enough? Am I able to do it justice, do the work justice? Am I going to let them down? Am I capable of doing this? Am I smart enough? So you have all of these self-doubts, you know, raging in your head. And then pretty soon you become a master at whatever task they entrust you with. So the same thing applies here, where it's like, yes, you're charting unknown territory, but look at your track record in the past. Have you ever let anyone down? Have you ever not been able to do something? Have you ever had to throw in the towel? Have you ever had to, you know, accept that failure is an option? I don't feel like that's the case. And so knowing that about yourself and knowing that about your history, I feel like there's a situation here where you're going to have to dive really deep. You're going to have to go through a process of exploration to figure out what is a good fit, to figure out what you need to master, to figure out as well where you belong. And so where I'm going with this is, you know, life is a series of departures and arrivals, right? We master something and then we move on. That is the lone wolf mentality, okay? It's not about staying in one place so that trackers can find you, fur traders can be able to track your footprints or paw prints, and to be able to hunt you for fur, okay? So we have to adapt a little bit more of a nomadic lifestyle. It's not about being on the run or constantly running from something or moving from something, but it's about, you know, shifting from one location to the next, being a little bit versatile and understanding, especially once I have delved deep and once I have mastered something, it's time for me to move on to the next thing. Some of a big persona, okay? And this is not about arrogance. This is like, it's like an oversized brain. You manage to cram in a lot of things. You manage to learn a lot of things really, really fast. And you have become very, like, mentally very agile and very versatile. And so new projects, new things, new expectations coming through from other people, they don't really faze you. At first you're afraid, but then after a while you realize it's just the same thing. You have cracked a code when it comes to learning new information, storing new information, and you've done it in a way where other people haven't really mastered this. And so if you're aware of that, and if you can write a book about how that's done, what your process is, it would help a lot of people, because I feel like people don't really know how to synthesize new knowledge. Okay, but you do, and a lot of what you're doing is like you're dealing with a new task, and you're relying on something that you've learned in the past that is very similar to what you're doing here, and you're making those connections, and that's why, you know, assimilating new information for you is very simple. If you can find a way to articulate that in a book, in a or even, like, you know, in a panel, in a discussion, it would be really beneficial for other people to hear, because I feel like they haven't mastered that, but you have. And so really look at, you know, let's not stay in one place for too long. Let's not stay and give ourselves away. You know, let's not let the hunters and the fur traders be high on our trail, and to smell our scent, and to be able to track us down. Okay, so that's what I'm feeling here. It's a process of understanding when something has already reached its apex, when it's time to let go, and when it's time to, you know, allow something new to come in. Okay, so new things cannot come in unless we depart, unless we let go. All right. And so to tie in with the rest of your reading, I have here the Moon and the King of Swords. The Moon is all about imagination, perception, sixth sense, and intuition, right? What I'm feeling here is with this King of Swords. Okay, this is an air energy. This is all about the mental space, the realm. This is somebody who's very firm with their beliefs. They're unwavering. They can be a little bit dogmatic. They can be a little bit defensive with what they know, what they believe in, and they might not be able to hear an alternative discourse. Like they just can't accept or listen to something that that is a different viewpoint or different mindset. So this is someone who's very, very protective of their knowledge. We have the Moon and the King of Swords. So I feel like you might be dealing with somebody here who's very skeptical, who's trying to figure you out, who's trying to make a connection with you. They're trying to figure out why you are behaving the way that you do, how your big persona. It's almost like they're trying to crack your secret. They're trying to crack you. They're trying to understand you. They're trying to draw out the wisdom and the knowledge that you have spent many, many decades building up, and they're having trouble seeing you. The Moon is about confusion. It's about seeing something that's not there, or seeing a situation through like it's like looking at life through frosted glass. Everything is very blurry. Everything is a silhouette, and it's very blurry, and you can't make out the features, and you can't make out things in certainty. So the way that you are behaving with this person, you might be quite elusive. You might not want to engage and socialize and to reveal all of yourself. I feel like they're looking at you very skeptically. And I do sense that, you know, I'm hearing the word underestimate. Okay, like somebody might be underestimating your capabilities. They might be looking at you as like, oh, that's not a worthy adversary. And then you prove yourself to be very transformative, to be a force to be reckoned with. And I feel like it caught them off guard. Okay, so now they're kind of like looking at you skeptically and trying to figure things out. Okay, so I feel like you might be a little bit of an enigma to them, and it's difficult for them to make sense of the connection or make sense of who you are as a person. I do sense here there is as well a very strong emotional connection that you have with somebody, And I feel like there are a lot of ideological differences. Okay, so I have an air sign and possibly even, excuse me, let me see, and even an earth sign. So Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra with this king of feathers. This is somebody that is very no nonsense. And what you really like about them is their sense of predictability. Okay. This is somebody that's like, they don't talk out of the side of their mouth. When they say something, they mean it. When they say, I'll meet you at 5, they mean at 5. They're punctual. They're dependable. Excuse me. And in some ways, they might be that pillar of stability in your own life. So it's somebody who's very predictable. You know where you stand with them, and you know, like you have a really strong affinity towards them. But I also feel like there are a lot of ideological differences between the two of you in this connection. Excuse me. That is it's kind of you question each other. Not in a bad way, but in there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of conversation I'm hearing. And I feel like they might be very individualistic. And it's hard to be in a relationship with them. I'm so sorry. I have a coughing fit. It's hard to be in a relationship with them because the way you do things and the way they do things would be very different. However, the saving grace is that you both are willing to talk things out. Like, I do this because of this, and they're like, okay, well, I do it because of this. Let's agree to disagree. So there's definitely lack of agreement, but it's handled in a way that is respectful, okay? And so you're kind of like trying to understand another person from the inside out. They're trying to understand you from the inside out. You both are very successful in your own way. I feel like, you know, they rule the air. Okay, they rule the air. And it's like the king of the king of the skies. The air energy deals with mental processes. This is someone who's incredibly gifted with perception, intelligence. They're really, really, really smart. They're very, very smart. But I feel like their intuition, they don't trust their intuition because they're so rational. And then on the other hand, you rule kind of like the underwater, the undercurrents. So you're kind of like a blend of the earth and the water, where you're highly intuitive. You listen to your intuition. You might not be able to rationalize why you believe the things that you do, only except that you feel right when you believe what you believe. And you might not be able to articulate that to this person. And as a result of it, they have trouble understanding you. And so you're dealing with somebody, and the connection is going to be really strong. I do see a lot of communication. Even if there has been a pause in communication, it's going to be coming back together because we have the star, which is, you know, coming through with the King of Swords. It's coming back together. Communication, revival, renewal as well, and a healing in this connection, in this relationship. Okay, you're going to be quite busy. This is kind of like on the periphery of your life, but I would urge you to take the time to truly explain yourself, because they're looking at you skeptically and they're trying to understand. And it's like they have nothing to work with. And so if you have knowledge, if you have tidbits of information, you don't know how to articulate it, but I feel like it needs to be expressed, okay, so that somebody has something to work with here. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Virgos, I do wish you the best, and Happy New Year, by the way. I will be back for next month's reading, hopefully very, very soon, so that the readings are not late. If you are looking for a reader, if you're looking to book a private reading, I highly recommend that you book one with this lady. I have her link in the description box below. Her name is Bridget. She's based out of California, and she is a phenomenal reader. I highly recommend her. You can click on the link below, which will take you to her website, and her website contains the scheduling tool, the calendar, the time zone that you're in. It's very user friendly. So that's